Nasdaq's market site. I'm your host, Christina Ayanian. And joining me today is Chief Marketing Officer of ARM, Ami Badani. Ami, thank you for joining us. Welcome to Nasdaq.
Thanks for having me.
Very happy to have you. Now, we're seeing a lot of traction in terms of AI and a lot of investment in this space. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'm an AI optimist by nature. I've been in the space for quite a number of years, and I look at the last 3 years since we've had the ChatGPT moment come out, and I'm sort of like, wow, I'm blown away by the amount of progress we're making.
What's the difference between AI and, let's say, someone using a simple Google search?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So if you look at kind of the way that you interact with artificial intelligence and let's just say query a chatbot, the amount of processing that happens to actually get back your answer is a lot more than a traditional web search. So you think about kind of fundamentally how much compute and power goes into a ChatGPT query, for example, versus a Google search. And I think it's about 15 times more power is consumed by a ChatGPT search. So today, most of artificial intelligence is done in training in data centers. And if you just look at the amount of power that's consumed, it's equivalent to a country like Germany. By 2030, if we get to where we want to get to with our AI aspirations, you're essentially consuming as much power as a country of India. So exponentially more power, and that really is because the amount of power it takes to do a simple GPT query 15 times, as I mentioned. And so I like to say no power, no AI. That's really the heart and the fundamental challenge that we'll have to solve together with a number of different companies looking at this front to really push AI to that next inflection point.
That's really interesting. Going off of that point, we've seen Amazon, Microsoft, Google explore the possibility of nuclear power. Do you think this is the solution?
I think it's one solution. I think we got to look at power from a number of different dimensions. It's about the chip. It's about the chips in servers. It's about servers in a rack. It's about the cooling a data center, and it's about bringing power into a data center. So we have to sort of look at all the different aspects of it. If you look at the chip in a server, 50% of the power in a server is really the chip alone. So I think you need to fundamentally think about how do you redesign the architecture to be more power efficient. And this is something that ARM is really exploring and we're at the heart of, is how do you fundamentally rethink compute architectures to be more power efficient? And that really goes back to the roots of the company and really our company. So you have to look at it from different levels. Nuclear is obviously one aspect of it, but there's many, many aspects in order to really think about how you really change the dynamics of power and get to where we want to get to, again, with our aspirations of artificial intelligence.
That's really interesting. Let's dive deeper into that. What makes ARM uniquely positioned to solve this?
Yeah, so if you look at the roots of our company, the DNA of our company, we've been, for the last 3 decades, we've been really thinking about power efficiency. Actually, the roots of our company is being able to really power a compute platform off of batteries. So that was sort of the origination of the company. And when you sort of think about artificial intelligence and ARM in general, we really stem across, we have 300 billion chips that are shipped today that touch more than nearly 100% of the connected population. Wow. So almost everyone touches ARM. I mean, just in this room, everything that's connected is probably powered by ARM's compute platform. So we're pretty much in everything from a smartphone to a data center server, to an automobile, to Internet of Things, connected devices, to PCs. And so, but the heart of all of that is really around power efficiency. So we have a more power efficient compute platform, higher performance, allows for flexibility, ultimately lower total cost of ownership in some dynamics. And so that's really the fundamental of ARM in general, is really a compute platform that's the most ubiquitous that I think the world has ever seen. And those are really the dynamics of what we're seeing with artificial intelligence. ARM is really at the heart of artificial intelligence in bringing really that power, lower power, higher performance in changing the world as the way we see it with artificial intelligence.
ARM is really working behind the scenes to make the world go round, essentially.
Exactly. Yep. We're at the heart of AI, of all AI experiences.
That's amazing. So what's next?
Yeah, you look at kind of over the last, like I said, 3 years, what we've seen is it's been a lot about training in the data center, whether it's open source models, closed source models, large models, small models. What I think is really going to shift is AI is going to get closer to the end consumer. So you look at, the devices in terms of the amount of memory and compute that are now able to be capable of running models on the device itself. So processing is going to happen closer to the end consumer, as well as in the cloud. We like to say AI everywhere from cloud to edge. That's one dynamic. I think the other big inflection point that we're going to see is really around reasoning. So you look at AI models today and think of it as almost like you're memorizing the internet and you're querying the internet and asking it a question. The next big inflection point is really going to be about reasoning. So think about like a chess match, and a ChatGPT or an AI model will really be able to reason and think about how to play chess against an opponent. You have to think about what's their next move. And so that's what I think is going to be the next frontier of artificial intelligence. But in order to do that, it requires a lot more compute and a lot more power efficient compute platforms. And so that's why I'm super excited about what's next, because I think, again, back to ARM being at the heart of all AI experiences, I believe that you'll need more compute and more power efficient compute to really get us to artificial general intelligence, which I believe we will get to at some point in the near future.
It sounds like how to expect the unexpected.
Right, exactly.
And it definitely sounds like the future is bright. Ami, we're so grateful for our partnership. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.